You just spent the last 12 weeks grinding hard, eating low calories, sweating your ass off doing cardio, and now you look the best you've looked in years for your holiday. And a month later, it's all gone. Sounds about right, doesn't it? And this is what you've never been told. Losing weight is the easy part, but keeping it off after is where 99% of people fail. Not because you lack willpower, it's not because you actually want to do that, it's because you've not got a plan for after the diet. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the exact 4-step process I use every single time I go through a fat loss phase, and I use with every single client to make sure that once they've got the body fat off, we keep it off for good, not just for a month. Before we get into it, let me tell you why I'm the one telling you this. Because anyone can tell you how to lose weight. I'm not interested in telling you about that because it's not rocket science. You know how to lose weight. But what you don't know is, and what no one's taught, is how to actually keep that body fat off. And that's what I'm interested in. I've been there, done it, and got the t-shirt. I've been in photo shoot shape, and now 2 years on, I live with my abs every single day. I'm lean, I feel my best year round, not just for a holiday. I don't let it take over my life either. I don't slave away doing hours of cardio every single week. I don't starve myself to keep my abs year round. I don't live under a rock. I socialize frequently. And that's exactly the position I want you to be in. But don't get it twisted. Before all that, before I got into fitness, I was stuck in that cycle for years because I didn't have a clue. I'd lose it for a holiday, put it back on, lose it again, put it back on. And I'd be sitting there thinking every single time after a holiday with my head in my hands, pissed off at myself, thinking, why can I lose the weight, but why can't I just keep it off? Because now I realize that every single time I had a process for the diet to lose the weight, but I never had a plan in place for afterwards once I'd lost it. I thought that the only way to actually keep it off meant I had to keep eating the low calories, keep doing the hours of cardio, and keep doing what I had to do to actually lose the weight after the holiday. And that just put me off a little bit, really. Before all this even works, you have to get yourself in proper shape in order to stay in shape. And I'm not just talking about losing a couple of kilos. I'm talking about getting yourself in proper shape, in a position you've never seen yourself before, because I believe that unlocks something subconsciously in your brain that you actually want to keep it, because who really wants to, keep hold of a physique after losing a couple of kilos? Nobody. So you have to see yourself in the mirror in a position you've never seen itself before. Once you're there, there's a specific way to keep it. And I'm not chatting shit. This is a proven method which I've worked with clients to lose 20, 30, 40, 50 kilos and actually keep it off. So let's break down the 4-step process. Now, step 1, the reverse diet. This is the step that literally nobody does. It's exactly why everybody rebounds, because here's what happens. You're in a calorie deficit for a few months, your metabolism slowed down a little bit, you're eating around about 1,800 calories. And the moment you hit your goal weight, or you go on holiday, or you maybe just call it a day with your diet and you got to a position where you want to be, what do most people do? You go back to eating normally, how they were eating before they tidied up their diet, before they wanted to lose weight, which means that from overnight, you've gone from dieting on 1,800 calories to potentially 3,000, 4,000 calories of just pure shit. And of course, when you start increasing your calories up and you make a drastic jump, the weight just piles on. It's like getting in your car and going from 1st gear to 5th gear. It isn't gonna work. So when you're taking that 1,800 calories and you're just throwing 1,200 on top of it, you can't just expect your body to just be sound about that. So instead, you reverse the diet. Over time, I'm sure, if you've done the diet properly, you've gradually brought your calories down over the weeks when it's needed. It's the exact same process, just the opposite way when you actually come out of the diet. Your body's adapted to 1,800. So instead, you reverse the diet, with the goal being to get to maintenance as quick as possible. If you've been in a calorie deficit for an extended period of time, you need to allow your body time to actually recover and give it the food to do that, and at the same time, restore your hormones, which may have downregulated as a result of being in an extended calorie deficit. Every week, from the moment you diet, and this should be planned in before the diet finishes so you know exactly what to move over to, because people finish the diet and they have nothing planned. So plan these calories the week before your diet finishes, so you know, let's say your diet finishes on a Saturday, on the Monday you know exactly what calories you're going into. And from your lowest point of your calories, I'd jump first around about 15%. And the main focus when it comes to increasing those calories, I would try to get your fat intake to as close to 1 gram per kilo of body weight. And if you're increasing via carbohydrates as well, I would put those in your pre and post gym meal and prioritize that as much as possible, because that's when your body's actually gonna be able to utilize and put that food to good use. There's no good putting, food in at the end of the day or in the morning when your body's not using it. Put it around your training window. Slowly but surely, over the next 4 to 6 weeks, you're gonna be increasing your calories up 15% in the first week, and let's say 10% every other week, and gradually increase that up to your maintenance point. And this is where most people go wrong, because they just don't do this phase. And it's the single most important step of the process. They think the diet's over, they throw everything out the window, they start eating more food, they think the diet's done. The diet isn't done. It's just entering a new phase. Goal of the reverse diet is to get your calories as high as possible without excessive weight gain. Your body, if you get to a nicely lean position, is going to be in a sensitive position to partition nutrients effectively. And that means pull the nutrients into the muscle to actually support the growth and repair of muscle tissue. But if you start being in a position whereby you're eating excessive calories, your body's quickly going to just start storing that as body fat. Let's say you start training less and your standards drop. It's very, very easy to start piling that body fat on if your standards are not kept in place with your food. And if you do this right and you actually stick to those calories and slowly but surely increase, you'll actually find that your muscles will start to look fuller and you actually might look a little bit leaner as well. So the best look is probably still yet to come, because at the bottom of your diet, you're in a depleted state on low calories. You start to feed the body more, you start to get better pumps, you start to look better, and you start to look leaner and tighter. So it actually works in your favor if you actually do it correctly. Step 2, once you've found your maintenance, you need to hold it. And by maintenance, I mean the amount of calories you need to see your body weight completely stabilize. And I don't mean just for a couple of days, I mean it needs to stabilize there for a couple of weeks. What you do is you track your weight every single morning after you've been to the toilet, you collect the weekly average, and you see that average move. Is it trending up? Is it trending down? Is it staying stable? But you want to see for at least 2 weeks, once you've built up to that point, your body weight average stabilize at that point. 0.1 up or down is absolutely fine, but as long as it stays as close to that figure as possible, then you've found your true maintenance point, and that's perfect. But if you can see it trending up around about 0.2 or 0.3 over the weeks, bring your calories down 10%. If you can see it trending down by 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, increase those calories up by a further 10%, and that should find your maintenance. And this is where most guys mess up. They think that when you've done the diet, when you've done the maintenance, you think, right, okay, you know what? I know what I'm doing here. I can just sack everything off. I can start eyeballing my food. I don't need to track anymore. They think, right, I know I've found it now. I know what my maintenance is. I've cracked it. Here's where most guys mess up, because they get in this maintenance phase and they just stop tracking. Okay, they think they've cracked it because they've maintained the body weight, they've done the diet. Okay, now I've not got a goal in place, that you're just here now. But over time, when you don't have a goal in place and you're in this bit of a weird period where you're feeling a little bit lost, you don't know what to work towards, you don't have a holiday in place, the standards can start to drop. An extra spoonful here and there, more handfuls, fancy a little bit of a takeaway in the week because I've been good. And before you know it, these little bits and bobs start to creep in because your standards have dropped, and that's slowly going to surely increase that body weight up. And if you do that every single day, little bits and bobs here and there, that's going to add up massively over the week, leading to unnecessary weight gain. Here's what you need to remember: the diet isn't done and you're not in the clear until you've gone through that 4 to 6 week maintenance period after your diet. After that, you should be looking lean, you should be looking full, you'll notice your energy levels have gone up, and you'll definitely notice your hunger stabilized. Step 3, taper your output, don't just remove it. At the end of your fat loss phase, it's likely that cardio is going to be sky high. Don't just want to start doing none and never look at it again. As you slowly taper your calories up, you want to make sure you're not overdoing it, because naturally, when you're not in a fat loss phase, you start moving less. You want to keep that output in relatively high to offset any excessive weight gain when it comes to that maintenance phase, when you're actually increasing those calories back up. There's a big assumption that cardio is only for fat loss, but for me, it's a year-round staple. The higher my output, the more food I can eat, the more flexibility I can have. It makes it easier for me to actually stay in shape and stay on track. For me, what I've seen with clients and myself is that when you're actually training to a higher intensity, what we often find is if someone's got poor cardiovascular fitness, that they're not often failing because their muscles have failed, they're often failing because they're actually not fit enough, and that can hold them back from actually building muscle when they enter their strength phases. So it's important for me, and I believe, to keep that cardio in at a baseline year round. After your diet finishes, I'd keep a baseline level of 120 minutes per week as a non-negotiable, aiming to keep your heart rate within that 130 to 140 range. And if you know that over the coming weeks in that maintenance phase or thereafter that you're going out for food or drinks or whatever it is that you know there's going to be an overconsumption, I would probably just taper it up, maybe add in, let's say 1,000 extra calories over the week, potentially around about 100 minutes of cardio, just to offset that overconsumption on the weekend. Step 4, this is the one that separates the guys who stay lean year round and the ones that stay in shape for a week. You need to understand what's actually going on with your body when you are at a lower body fat percentage. This is what nobody teaches you, and you will not know about getting lean, and this is why it comes as a shock. When you have less body fat, when you have less fat cells in your body, hunger hormones will be altered. So when you are leaner, when you have less body fat, ghrelin, your hunger hormone goes up. So as you notice at the start of a diet, you're not really that hungry, but as you get into the deeper stages of a diet, you almost find that you're really, really hungry. And that's just natural biology working against you when you are losing body fat. Because your body doesn't want to lose weight. When you're in a calorie deficit, you're essentially healthily starving your body. It goes into that survival mode and it tries to fight against you by sending these signals prompting you to go and eat. Same time, when ghrelin goes up, leptin also drops, which is the other hunger hormone, which is your fullness. So as you know, at the start of a diet, you might be really, really full. towards the end, those meals don't touch the sides. So when you are hungrier and your body's signaling more hunger and you're not getting as full, it's a bad combination to be at. And if you don't know about this after your diet, when you're eating more food, you can start to give in to these cravings, because when you're on a fat loss phase and you've got a goal in mind, you are hungry, and that's understandable, but you don't eat. But the minute that fat loss goal is taken away and you start to get all these signals that you're not really full, but you're eating more food and you're hungry more and you haven't got a goal in place, it's very, very easy to start giving into these signals and start, oh, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. And that then leads to that excessive weight gain. So most people think that when the diet is finished that, why am I still hungry? Why am I still hungry? But now I can eat, this is great, my diet's finished. And it isn't the case, and it's not just your head, it's not just a willpower thing, it's physiological. And then knowing this after you finish your diet is really, really important, because it can be quite intense and you'll actually notice that you are hungrier than when you're actually doing the diet itself, despite eating more. The trick is learning to actually read these signals and act in the same way that you did when you were in your diet. Here's what you do. You keep the routine and habits which you built when you were losing body fat. You don't abandon everything, you adapt to it. There are a few habits that I would definitely say make this indefinitely easier, which I use in a fat loss phase and now year round to actually help me stay in shape. Number one is actually pushing your meal back. Shorten that eating window. There's no good waking up first thing in the morning and having your first meal, because you're gonna find you're really, really hungry throughout the day. If your meals are all done by 6, 7 o'clock and you have that sort of danger zone between 7 and 10 p.m, with not having a fat loss goal in place, it's very likely you're going to overconsume. For me personally, if I'm not training in the morning, I'll aim to eat around about 12 o'clock and have my 4 meals between that sort of 12 till 8:30, 8-hour window, and then I'll repeat that the next day. But I think definitely shortening that eating window, and people think that, oh, you know what, the minute I've stopped my diet, I don't have to do these anymore. You do, of course you do. Because as I said, your hunger hormones are going to be fighting against you, so it's important to keep shortening that eating window and actually making it easier for you to actually stick to later in the evenings, when most people's cravings do go up when they're back from work. Number 2 is your water intake. Don't just stop drinking water, keep drinking a high water intake. More often than not, you can't really differentiate between what's hunger and what's actually your body needing water. So most people just think, right, okay, you know what, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat, when really that if you actually drank some water, waited 15 minutes, you'd actually realize that, okay, was I actually hungry? Do I actually need to eat? Or was I just dehydrated and needed some water? As simple as that. I try to aim for around about 6-7 litres of water per day, every single day after I finish my diet. Number 3 is volume eating. What a lot of people do is they just fill the plate with protein and carbs and just a little tiny piece of veg. When your leptin is down and you can't get full after meals, it's very, very important that we actually fill the space within your stomach to send that signal to be like, right, okay, I'm full. If you're only putting a little bit of veg on your plate, that's gonna bite back. So make sure you're adding a lot of volume to your meals and really filling it out with veg, and that's gonna keep you full and then almost help you out until you get to that next meal, and then you're not having to fight that hunger and deal with those hunger hormones throughout the day. Before, keep the habits you built, right? You probably worked very, very hard for the period that you were dieting. You probably built a lot of good habits with your routine, with your structure, with your meals, with the prepping, with the tracking, with the training. Everything which you built, keep it in place, because what got you in shape will keep you in shape. The method that you actually got to get there with the low calories, the high cardio, is not the same as keeping it. You don't have to do that. But the overall foundation of what you're actually doing will really, really help you in terms of staying in shape and keeping that weight off. People just throw it out the window. They stop tracking their food. They stop doing cardio. They start being lazy and let the standards slip. And as a result, their physique starts to show that. Hit your protein, stay active, keep training heavy. Keep using the dieting hacks that work super well for you to actually lose that body fat in the first place. These aren't just dieting behaviors, these are lifestyle behaviors, and I think it's important that you understand that this is a lifestyle and this will actually help you stay in shape. So that's step 4. Understand that your body is going to naturally fight against you. Ghrellin's gonna go up, leptin's gonna go down. You're gonna be very, very hungry. You're not gonna be as full despite eating more food. And it's so important to understand that expectation before you actually come into this maintenance phase. If you're sick of putting the weight back on, it's not because of discipline, because you've been dieting without a plan in mind for after it. Reverse your calories up to maintenance. Once you've found that maintenance, hold it there nice and steady for a 1 to 2 week period. Keep training heavy and taper your cardio down. Do not just remove it. Absolutely need to keep your routine in place. 4 simple steps. That's the reverse process. That's how I've stayed in shape 2 years on. That's how I help clients do the exact same thing, by giving them that plan for after they finish their diet and setting new goals for them to work towards. So they're not in that feeling of, I have nothing to work towards, I'm lost, and the excuses climb in. And that's how my clients stay in shape, and that's how you can too. If you've watched this and you're thinking, right, I get this process, but I don't want to do the thinking. I want someone to take the thinking off my shoulders with my training, with my nutrition, with my supplementation, with actually road mapping a direction for me to actually get in shape, knowing what I'm doing and when and what we're working towards, to actually get me in sick shape and actually help me keep that shape afterwards so I can live in shape. That's exactly what I help with. I work with guys online on a one-to-one basis. I take care of everything when it comes to their training, their nutrition, their road mapping and giving them that direction, getting them in incredible shape, showing them how to keep it afterwards, fixing their lifestyle, their sleep, their habits, their mindset, their routine. We cover everything and I'm in your corner every single step of the way. And if that's something you'd be interested in, I'll leave a link below to my coaching, drop me a message and I'll give you some more information about how it works and if it's right for you. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.